What is happening, Elevation Nation? We are back for another episode. We are excited. Sam, it's getting cold out. I mean, you see the winter jacket behind me, right? Isn't that crazy? We're already into what? When this comes out, it's going to be into December. But Laura, welcome to Elevation Nation.
Hello.
Elevation Nation, we have a great guest for you today. Laura Ter Meer is the founder of Lifting the Mood, and she's doing something really, really cool. And we'll get all into that. But Laura, welcome to Elevation Nation. Sam and I are pumped to have you.
Gracias. Because I want to represent the Spanish side of me too. So gracias.
Represent it all. We
represent
know
it all.
a couple languages. German is not one of them, so I'm proud of Parker for his intro of your name, Laura. We're excited to have you and welcome you to Elevation Nation. It's just so great. I mean, I do have to give you a special shout out. People are always asking us, Sam, Parker, like, how do you find these elevators? How do you find these incredible individuals to join Elevation Nation? And a lot of the times it's people introducing us to other elevators who have been on the podcast, but there are a select few, some that have reached out and said, hey guys, can we chat? I feel like we would all vibe. And you are one of those people. And so I'm so excited to welcome you to Elevation Nation and give you huge kudos for reaching out. That's a lesson for everyone. You never know until you ask. So reach out. Yeah. And now we're all going to be friends. It's beautiful.
I love it. Yes. Thank you.
I'm excited. Well, Laura, we obviously know who you are. We've done research on you, but for Elevation Nation, we got to give them a little bio, a little elevator pitch. Tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm Laura or Laura, as I like to say, regardless of the accent. I'm originally from Venezuela. A little bit of everywhere. The reason I say that is my mother was a diplomat. She's originally from Venezuela, and my father is German. So I feel like I'm a multitude of a little bit of nationalities. So that's a little bit in a nutshell in terms of identity-wise. German, Italian, Venezuelan. I originally studied chemistry. I was always like a bit of a science geek. And then I worked in pharma. All of a sudden, pivoted into tech. Within that world, I found an affinity for health and wellness and saw a gap in the market for adjustable dumbbells for women. And so I decided that I was going to change that. And so I ended up creating and designing adjustable dumbbells for women. And that's kind of in a nutshell. I'm sure we're going to go into it a little bit more, but I think I covered like a little bit of everything.
Amazing. That's great. Yeah, we're going to get all into it. I mean, so you said you were in pharma and then tech, and then you decided to start your own thing. Sam and I have had many conversations with many entrepreneurs, and a lot of them, everyone has unique experiences, right? But there is that point where they're in that job, in that role. To your point, you said you gained an affinity for health and wellness. Could you walk us through like what that looked like when you began to explore the world of health and wellness and began to like feel really tied to it, and it kind of pulled you away from that world of pharmaceuticals and then tech?
Yeah. So it really started because I was actually a student and under visa here in the United States, and I didn't get the visa, so I had to move to London. I didn't have to. I was privileged enough to have like a German passport, so I could leave the United States and go to I said to myself, I need something that's remotely something similar to New York City. So I went to London. Much to, my confidence that I thought I had it all. And, your mid-20s, you think you got it all. I went to London and thought everybody kept telling me, the weather you're going to get affected by the weather. There's not a lot of sun, the culture, it's going to be different. And so I always thought, I was like, I'm totally above this. I got this. I'm going to make friends easy. You paint this picture, this utopia. It wasn't the case. I struggled a bit. I didn't know a lot of people. it's culturally very different. And so while it took me a long time, for me, I think, to make friends, and so I felt a little isolated. There were a lot of plethora of other things going on that weren't going my way, and I thought, okay, I can't control these outside, environment things that are happening to me, but I can control the way that I treat my body, the way that I feel about myself. So I started running, and I started going to the gym, and I started learning, I've always been quote unquote fit, but I wanted to understand a little bit better, nutrition, and a little bit better exercising, and having like a discipline and a routine. Started getting into lifting, and then I honestly saw what it did on a mental and also on a physical. And I just, it helped me so much on a confidence level to say, oh, wow, okay, today I can pick heavier than like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But also I feel confident to actually approach more strangers, talk to more strangers, even though you don't necessarily talk to a lot of strangers in London. Like it's just different, in New York City, you can you can have a conversation with a random stranger. It doesn't look that I think we're much
Maybe.
warmer.
Yeah.
Possibly. Right? Possibly. But they're much more reserved. And so I had that confidence in me that I didn't know I had, but it was all thanks to me lifting. And it's just, there's just so much more. It's not just a product. It's not just adjustable dumbbells. It's what it means for even as a woman, And so that's how lifting came into my life, and weights came into my life, and I saw the so many advantages that it does to you as a person.
With so many elevators in Elevation Nation, there's a common theme for many of them. There's a common theme that you have with how Parker and I started Elevation Nation as well, which is we had a problem. We weren't feeling our best. And so we went out to explore what was going to elevate our mood and elevate our mindset. And for you, that was, working out and lifting. And don't get me wrong, that is a huge part of what got Parker and I out of our funks when we started Elevation Nation. And a lot of the times how other elevators started their companies or their next journey or them quitting their job and trying something new. And Parker and I like to call this your oh shit moment, right? I think for a lot of times as a young adult, when we're in school, there's always that next step. When you get a job, there's always that next promotion. In life, it is so long, your road ahead. At least for me, I was petrified of making a wrong step. My first step I couldn't even take. I had a job, but I didn't know what I wanted or who I was, how I was going to get there, and what fueled me. And so I think it's interesting, all the similarities between everyone always is facing a problem as a young adult. And we search for different things, different purposes, different challenges to lift us out of it. And so with you starting Lifting the Mood, right? And we're going to get into it in a bit, compared to why we started Elevation Nation, fitness and working out made you feel better and you wanted to share that with the world. For us, having deep introspective conversations with amazing and interesting people lifted us out of these funks. And so it sounds like there wouldn't be similarities between what we do, but I feel like they are just different mediums of which we are lifting and elevating.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. It's incredible.
It's just cool to feel like there is a way, Sam and I we know in Elevation Nation, our audience too, people are looking for answers sometimes. How do I get out of this funk? How do I get out of this thing? And it is finding something that fuels you and you're passionate about. To Sam's point, we wanted to have introspective conversations and learn from other people and how they've gone about their challenges. To your point, Laura, wellness and fitness.
Well, I
want to ask you, Laura, something very random in particular, but this is our show, so we can talk about whatever we want.
Go for it.
I had a conversation earlier with a friend of both Parker and I. His name's Miles. He's traveling the world right now. And he was talking about how he loves the fact that in some challenges that we adopt, there are little steps and little goals along the way. And for Miles and for Parker, it was running, right? They both ran the New York City Marathon and multiple marathons. And you can always get a little bit, congrats to Parker, a little bit better. And I'm curious for you, you mentioned this new affinity for lifting when you were trying to get out of a funk. Was the fact that lifting, you could literally, there's a number on a dumbbell and there's a number of reps that you can get. And it is so tangible of like, I am 1 rep or 5 pounds stronger this week than last week, that makes it almost like palatable and bite sized so that you can improve. Did you ever think of lifting in that way? Like small little bits
Increments.
Of lifting yourself out of this funk?
To be honest, what I was mostly proud of was that I could control it myself and that I was able to make that decision myself. No one else was telling me lift heavier, lift lighter. I took the initiative, and just the fact that I took the initiative to grab the weight, it was a little bit exactly like how I was going through my life at the moment, which was a very challenging moment in my life, because there was a number of other things going that they were outside of my control. But just the fact that I could tell that it was giving me an effect in terms of, mentally telling myself, no, you can go grab it, to then physically feeling better. And even though, whatever was going on wasn't the greatest, it was helping me see the glass half full. So there was like a convergence of, wow, I'm going to get through this with, oh, wow, I am getting stronger. And so it was mostly that. And then there was also an element, honestly, Sam and Parker, there was this element of, I got this. I freaking got this. No matter what happens, I'll tell you something. I went to London and I had never visited London. Like, I moved to London and I said, I got this. I don't know how in the world I did it, but I just told myself there's no turning back. I can't go to Venezuela because there's no future there as a country. Politics discussions aside, there's no future. So I told myself, I'll go. And I remember there's I'm going to tie it in, I promise. But I remember talking to my mom and telling her I'm going to go to London. And she was like, you've never been there. Like, what are you going to, I was like, no, I got it. And so it's like those little key moments in your life that are minor, but that change your whole perspective. And grabbing that weight or like going into the lifting section where it's like a plethora of men and saying to yourself, it's okay. Let's just give it a shot. Let's just try it. It's empowering. And there's that domino effect into everything else, I think.
I have a quick thought.
I hope that makes sense.
It does. And it brings up something interesting that I think shows opposites in how we've approached things, Laura, which is I am super type A. I love to be in control of everything, have an exact plan. I'm tactical. I'm operational. It drives Parker insane. But that's who I am. And for me to get outside of my comfort zone, because I feel so comfortable when I have a full day with a to-do list and calendars and everything scheduled, to get outside of my comfort zone, instead of me continuing to do my lifting regimen that told me exactly what to do and had the same exercises, I recently have started boxing, which I am not great at, have no idea what I'm doing, but every day I go and I love the fact that I can't plan. Like, I'm going to get hit in the face and I have no idea where it came from and have no idea how to defend it and just get knocked on my ass. And for me, that's how I'm flipping my like type A personality and certainly my a little bit of OCD on its head to be like, you can't plan for every scenario in this boxing ring, just like you can't always plan your life, dude. Yeah. Like, calm down and just let go and go with the flow and trust your instincts. And so I think it's interesting how we both kind of going through hardships and trying to elevate and lift ourselves to be the best versions we can be, it depends on what you need, right? Sometimes you need more structure and a tactical approach. Sometimes you need to just kind of go with the flow. And I think it's a beautiful lesson around life and fitness.
Yeah.
What came to
No, I
mind for
agree.
me, Laura, when you were telling your story, first of all, Sam and I need to get in the ring together. He is now a semi-professional boxer, but I
Be
don't know.
careful what you wish for,
I
dude.
feel like I could hold my own in some way. I am bigger than him. I got a couple pounds.
You could run
and-
away. You are faster than me. You could certainly
I'm
run
still,
away.
well, I haven't lifted in a while because I've been running, but I'm getting back into my lifting regimen. So maybe we'll have to do like a charity event, Elevation Nation style.
I would love that.
Yeah, I'm sure you would until I'm the underdog and win. So Laura, what I think about, the way you were telling that story a little bit is that like you were talking through possibly like this idea that you're going to move to London, start this new life in a new world, right? Like where you have no experience, and that's fearful, right? And a lot of people feel that fear and pretty much say, okay, fear's going to rule me. I'm not going to do it. And they say, next thing, right? All right, what's the next thing? And they live in that comfort zone. And I read this book by Susan Jevers called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And it has changed my entire perspective when it comes to elevating, right? When you feel the fear or the anxiety that comes with it, lean into it and allow yourself to feel that, because what's the worst that's going to happen? Okay,
Right. So
you moved to London and it is a little challenging or difficult, but you're putting yourself through a difficult experience that you're going to learn and you're going to navigate it. And worst comes to worst, you come back to America or you go somewhere else, right? And for example, like Sam and I are getting into speaking. I love speaking, but I'm also fearful of speaking, right? But I
think
keep pushing
about how
myself.
great you'll feel when you speak,
Exactly.
I'm actually reading, I don't know if you guys have read Grit by Angela. It's
Duckworth. Yeah.
Yes, Duckworth.
She's great.
Thank you. And it's just she says so many things that are extremely valuable, but one of the many things that she says that resonated with me was people who you see nowadays that are talented, you forget the amount of years it took them to get there, right? And so, or even, you talk to other entrepreneurs, and I'm on the journey now. There's so much I want to do with this product. There's a story, there's a mission, and there's a journey. But there's so much I want to do, and I'm scared out of my mind, guys. Scared. But the other day, I was saying this to my husband. I said to myself, I always had this like nagging, no matter how I don't care, the most confident person out there, there is a little bit of a self-doubt that you always have. But throughout this journey, I've always questioned, I didn't get an MBA from like Columbia. I didn't get an MBA from Duke. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. But I'm learning. So the fact that a month ago, I could tell you I have no clue about suppliers, manufacturers. And a month later, I can tell you something so much as like the processes, the tooling that I need, the quality, and it's something so out of reach 2 months ago, but now I know it's the beauty of learning. We're never too old to learn. And I feel that if we lean into fear, then we won't learn. If we don't lean into fear, then we won't learn. But then when we lean into it and look back, we're like, oh wow. Like I learned from this.
Yeah, and one more point to that, and Laura, I want to talk obviously more about what you're doing with like lifting the mood and LTM and the dumbbells and everything. But obviously, if you're fearful of your life or fearful that something bad's going to happen, avoid that. But
yeah, of course.
Obviously.
Like, don't jump off a cliff.
But most of the time, we feel fear in our regular day, and the fear is rooted in things that we doubt ourselves with, to your point. But like imagine if you just continue to go at that fear and just do it, whether you're scared or you're not, how much better things are going to be. Because Sam knows it's a win-win situation in my head, right? You go and you do that thing and it goes great. Amazing. Sounds great. You got over your fear. Maybe you're fearful of it in the future, but you got over it and went great. But if it doesn't go well, we fear that we're going to get looked down upon. We're fearful that we're going to get embarrassed. We're fearful that the social expectation, the self-esteem, right? But also expectations of ourselves. What if we don't live up to our expectations? But you know what? You push and you fail. What's great about failure is you can learn from that. And then the next time that opportunity comes, you have more information about what works for you. Yeah. So then you can push.
Listen, even in this journey of entrepreneurship, I can crash and fail. And I went on this really long walk, very meditative Central Park walk this weekend. And while I was talking to my husband, I said to him, this can go, there's a 50-50 chance that either this is a success or this is an epic failure. But for me, those are two successes. A success in the fact that I'm learning so much, and all the self-doubt that I had that I couldn't do, I'm doing it. And that's really cool. That's empowering myself and telling myself, no, you are smart enough. And then the other side, the flip side is, say this all goes to crap. The people I've met and the women I've met, I wouldn't change this for the world. I've met, your caliber of guys who want to support, a company like mine, who can see what I'm trying to do, people who want to connect you, and say this doesn't work out. It's fine. Maybe because of this, it's going to bring me to something else. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking at this journey and really at life, I think at this point.
It's an amazing way to look at something scary. Leaning in is certainly not easy, but Parker and I love stepping outside of our own comfort zones and hearing stories of other people doing the same. So we know, to your point, it's going to be a success, or it's going to be a success. So let's talk a little bit about what we're trying to make successful here with Lifting the Mood. You mentioned the backstory and the inspiration behind you wanting to use fitness to, I'm going to say it, sorry, I'm cheesy, elevate your life and then elevate the lives of others, right? And that's why you were a born elevator. But tell us actually about Lifting the Mood and LTMs and that product. If folks are watching on YouTube, we may even be able to show you the gorgeous, I'm in product design, that looks good, product. So we'll let you kind of explain a little bit the inspiration behind it.
Yeah. Well, imagine you're walking into a gym and you see a woman and all she wants to do is get stronger. But instead she goes to the lifting section and she's surrounded by men. The products out there are intimidating. Everyone, as men, seems to know what they're doing. Let's just say some are grunting. So she turns around, she's intimidated. She doesn't get stronger. She goes to the cardio. That's when I come in. That's when we come in. That's where LTMs come in. I want to be able to have women build the confidence through our products and showcase their strength through our adjustable dumbbells. That's the gap. That's the confidence. And so similar to my story earlier, in which I feel like I was a little bit all over the place, the idea is I want to empower women to feel confidence about themselves, because just from the physical, it just trickles down. It's a domino effect to anything else, whether it be a tough conversation, whether it be asking for a raise, whether it be just going to that lifting section and saying, you know what, I know what to do now and I'm not embarrassed. So it's that confidence gap as women that I want to get into and change.
and you already are, and we know you're going to do an amazing job with it.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you the opportunity too. So that's obviously the beautiful root cause and the goal behind it. But for those not looking on YouTube, it's a super sleek, cool, new looking product. So I want to also give you the opportunity to say why you're different than other dumbbells themselves, because I do think there's something special with what you've created here.
Yeah, let's see it. I want to. Can you pull it up? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So they are different because they are soft to the touch, so they don't give you calluses. Wow. They're adjustable from 2.5 pounds to 24 pounds each. So you can just remove the screw, and then you can add like up to 5 on each side. And then the idea is you, rather than having to hide it anywhere, it's aesthetically pleasing. So you're showcasing your strength.
Ooh, I love it.
That's the idea. But yeah, it's the idea is that there's a mission there as well, that it's just, it's welcoming to every type of modality that you would want. So whether it's bar, or whether it's Pilates, or whether it's lifting or strength training or HIIT, it tries to cover most grounds for those women that want to start working out at home and lifting.
I remember there being a pink one. No?
Yes, there is. Yeah.
I was going to say.
There's pink and white.
I remember. You showed me the pink one before, and there's white.
Here you go, guys.
Oh, wow.
Those are so sick.
Oh, so you're saying that as long as you have the actual handle, you can mix the colors up however you want and everything?
However you want. So, I mean, this is like me decorative. So yeah, these are the pink ones, and these are the white ones. And then you have like female, male, like hooks where you can hook it. And so you can choose your own strength and design your strength.
Wow. Very cool.
So that's the idea.
Very, very cool. Yeah.
People are so damn creative.
That's awesome.
Parker, we just came up with a damn podcast, dude. Like,
why
stop don't we have something cool?
No, don't say that.
No, I mean, that's awesome. So talk about the process of bringing that from your brain. It's an idea in your mind that you created. I mean, literally, that thing looks like an engineer. I mean, the way it's spun and so clean and like, walk us through like what that was like, the process.
Yeah. So it was me sitting during COVID working, and I've always wanted to do something, and I've always wanted to do something on the side. I was like, I want something. I want to build something. It was always nagging me at the back of my head, but you never know what it is. And so I was looking for adjustable dumbbells. This was during COVID, right? And they were a hot commodity at the time. And everything I saw out there for women was too light, too heavy, ugly. And that's when I was just like, wait a second, what if I design this? And so Brad, my husband, was sitting in front of me, and I started sketching. And I said to him, hey, what if I do this? And so I did like random, really ugly, by the way, ugly sketches of some dumbbells, which the initial sketches, oh my God, I don't even want to show anybody. I'm like, oh. And so it was a really sweet kind of moment, because he said, I mean, why not? This is cool. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. And so I had created more sketches. I looked online trying to see if there was anything else out there like what I was thinking about, or targeting us as women. And there wasn't. I called 2 of my best friends. I let them know. I was like, hey, between you and I, what do you think? One of them was like, this, I love it. And she's like a sister to me, and she's like, this is gonna be huge. You're gonna make it. You're just making this like utopia of world. And I'm like, okay, all right, hold on, got to figure this out. So typical with your idea in mind, you kind of let it sit, and And then I was walking with a friend of ours, and I said, I have this idea. I think it's good bouncing it off of other people who are active or have your same outlook. And what triggered me to keep pushing was my friend said to me, "So what's stopping you?" Fine, this is cool. So what? So what's like, why don't you just start it? Stop talking about it. And he was, coming from a rugby background. I was like, that's a bit harsh, but okay. Okay. You're right. I don't have an excuse.
Huh.
So I started, honestly, and that was the trigger of pushing me. And so I started looking for like product design companies, which, by the way, there's a lot out there. And you sign an NDA, you tell them, you have to prepare yourself, right? You have to pitch them to see if they want to work with you. And then you give them a bunch of designs and say, like, I have this idea. What do you think? Do you want to work with me? And how can we make this more aesthetically pleasing to the consumer? I ended up finding a few that wanted to work with us. A few dropped us, meaning me and my husband, and we found one in the UK. They're called Simple Design Works, and they just helped me. They saw something in this idea, in the mission, in me, that they were immediately like, let's do this. And so we worked together to what it is today. We have it patented, and the founder of that company is now my mentor in the supplying process.
How that works? Like, you meet these people along your journey. Parker and I have been saying this from day one when we started. I joked before, but this incredible podcast and this incredible movement, which is we have no idea when we're going to meet that one person or multiple that are going to change our lives forever.
Yeah.
And just putting yourself, that's why I commended you at the beginning of this episode. Ask, go meet people, network. You have no idea who could potentially be a mentor, change your life. I mean, it's pretty incredible where you've come so far already.
Thank you, Sam.
With your journey.
You're making me cry, man.
Oh, don't cry.
I'm not
This
gonna
is
cry.
all good. This is all good. I mean, you're allowed to cry. This is all amazing things. And that's what's really exciting. It's like you've learned so much. This is the start of your journey.
Yep.
Who knows what is next for all of us? And
Yes.
I'm so excited. I mean, a quick example, right? We have some elevators that Parker and I are obviously going to introduce you to now that you are officially an elevator in the nation.
Yay!
And they just got invested on Shark Tank. There is also a fitness idea during COVID, and now they are absolutely crushing it and have Shark Tank investors, and we're on TV.
That's
and are just the
awesome.
most amazing gals. So you have no idea who you're going to meet, what opportunity is going to happen. To all of Elevation Nation out there, if this is not a lesson to just try, meet people, chase dreams, learn, and Laura, to your earlier point, success is going to be either actual success or failing and learning so much along the way that it's still a success.
Yeah. And I think also, to add to that, Sam, I think getting rejected doesn't mean that you're on the wrong path. It just means that person just wasn't the right person, and you keep going. And instead of that being seen as a failure, you have to look at it as a way to fuel you up. Oh, I can't say that word. Even more, because through this journey too, I've gotten rejected. It's one thing to get ghosted. It's one thing to not get answers, but to get rejected face to face, it's like, oh. But then you turn around, you're like, actually, no, okay, fine. Like, out of 10 people, one person didn't like it. Whatever, that's fine. You're gonna change your mind in a year. That's fine.
Damn right.
I mean, the way I look at it is like, they're never going to understand how you feel about this mission and this product. And you're going to always be the number one proponent of the mission and the product. And, when it comes to rejection too, I think it's like, sometimes we allow it to hit our ego hard, and we're like, wow, this is going to really change. This is going to this hurts, feels bad. But at the end of the day, remember, like, what are you grounded in? You're grounded in your mission. What you know who you are, you know what you're bringing to the table, you know what inspires you, and you're going to keep pushing. And that's what elevating is all about.
I have a question for you, actually.
Hell yeah.
What was your worst rejection? Have you experienced rejection? What was your worst, or one that you can remember?
It's a good question. Rejection. I mean, there's rejection all over the place. We could talk business terms. We could talk personally. We could talk, Sam and I work full-time jobs on top of Elevation Nation. Man, I told a story, Sam, remember this one, way back when I first started in our job at our company that we still work at. And this was the ultimate. It wasn't even rejection. It was just the ultimate sucker punch right into my face. Back to boxing, So basically, it was like my first week in the working world right after I graduated college, right? I have no idea how things are working, whatever. This big partner at our firm, I'm in consulting, was in consulting then, asked me to do like the most basic of basic tasks, like literally the most basic tasks you could ever think of, very administrative. And I spent like a whole day getting it all ready, getting it together. And he's like, all right, meet me in my office. And so I met him in his office and he asked me to describe, what I had done. And I could not communicate what I had done, like at all. I just froze. And usually I think I'm a good organized communicator in my thought. And literally he's like, Parker, stop. I'm going to stop you there. Right now, let's talk about 45 minutes of how to communicate. And
wait,
I'm
he
like,
said that?
Yeah. And like, I'm sitting there like, oh my God, just get me out of this room. Next thing you know, I'm sitting in a 45-minute lecture. He's pulling up slides for me on like basic communication. So we're not talking rejection here. We're talking like gut punch to me as a human, because all humans communicate. So I always get reminded by that. From Elevation Nation standpoint, Sam, I mean, we get like minor rejections all the time here and there.
I think we certainly get a lot of rejections when it comes to some speaking gigs that we try to get.
That's true.
We finally started hitting our stride and people saying yes. But the more we ask, the more no's or ghosts we're certainly going to get. And so I think it's a good lesson for us, Parker. Maybe we got to start taking some more risks so we get rejected a little bit more here.
Well, I just got to say to that partner, you hear that? We're getting speaking gigs. We're so good that we're getting,
Parker.
We're getting rejected. And, we're getting accepted too. Just saying. So I always look back to that as like, damn, okay, I got lectured. And maybe I learned a bit. I learned a bit about, just it's not that hard to just tell you, I was so structured in the way I was communicating this. No, just to speak from the heart,
talk like a human being.
Yeah, totally. So cool. I mean, Laura, we've got a lot of questions on here. We hit on a bunch of them.
Go for it.
We have a few more that we have to get to because
bring it on.
It is Elevation Nation, and we do have to go through some rapid fire. We got to put you on the spot here.
Oh God.
Hopefully, you're ready for that. So I'll kick it off with, what is your like go-to quick fitness routine that 15 minutes helps you get back like out of a funk?
Out of 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
I usually like 45. I need an hour. I need an hour.
So every time you're working out, you're going for an hour.
Yeah. No, it's a this is non-negotiable. Absolutely.
Okay.
I need an hour a day. Yeah. That's it. It's happening. I don't care what's going on in my life. I need at least, even if it's 45 minutes, not fully an hour, I need it for my mental sanity. So I'll do, whether it's like a quick run for 10 or 15 minutes on a treadmill, and then like a quick circuit, like lifting with weights, another 30 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever. That for me is, I have to do that for myself, for my mental.
Love that.
I even like put my phone on do not disturb because it's my hour. It's like therapy. It's like, no, do not disturb. This is me time. It's, yeah,
Sometimes you need it, or every day
Yeah.
you need it. I get it.
I do.
All right, I have a question. If you close your eyes and imagine LTMs in 5 years from now, you can
Ooh.
partner with any brand, you have any special release, whatever. You guys have made it, you're crushing it. What color scheme do you picture in your mind?
Ah, that's such a great question. Right now, we have pastels, right? Ooh, I don't know. Oh, Sam.
You're gonna have to start
Um,
thinking. You got 5 years, so hopefully you can come up with some until then. Maybe I'll make it easier. A dream
yeah.
partnership with a brand, and we'll use their colors. Who would you love to partner with?
I don't know how, but okay. Actually, no. We're in
Put
like
it
the
in the
best case
universe.
scenario.
Manifest
Yeah.
it.
Hello, Sunshine.
I'm supposed
Hello,
to know what that is. Sorry.
Hello,
on.
Sunshine is the founder's Reese Witherspoon.
Ah.
She.
Okay, so we want some sunshine yellow.
Oh, okay. Maybe not the color, but
Not the color. Okay. Never mind. Sorry, Reese.
but it's Reese Witherspoon. If you are listening, no. The reason I think with the partnership, the reason why I would think of her as a brand is because of what she's done to the movie business, but also what she's done to her employees. She's changed their life because she gave them equity, and she eventually sold the company. But there's so many aspects here. She empowered women's stories in movies. She empowered her employees. She talks about tons of women authors' books. So she stands for a lot of the things that I hope I embody as well. And I would love for her movies to feature our LTMs, and some of the scenes
In any color but yellow.
in any color but yellow.
Okay, noted. We're putting it in the universe. You're gonna
Even
partner
Putting
with
it
her,
out
and
there.
Even
it's gonna be
yellow
a different
pastel.
color though. It's not gonna
Even
be
yellow
yellow.
pastel. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, last question for you, Lara, before we get to our mental motto. I see you got some books behind you. We do ask.
Yes, I have a lot.
What is a book recommendation that you have for Elevation Nation?
Oh my God, so many. Okay, no, guys, and I'm gonna keep it. The theme here is constant. It's called Invisible Women. It's by this Carolina Criado Perez. She's an English economist, and it's fascinating because she highlights in each chapter the gap that there is in terms of representation for women. Something so simple as a bus route, or the way that apartments or architects design a building. Something so simple as the way clinical trials we have, but I think that's more commonly known. Something so simple as an iPhone, the way that it's designed. So it's fascinating because it opens your eyes to say, oh wow, there is a gap. We talk about it, but we don't enumerate it. We don't. And I think another really cool example is, everybody talks about men are more willing to apply to that job that they don't qualify for, and women are not. And part of the reason sometimes is because of the verbiage and the way that you describe a job description or what you are required to do sometimes is not as welcoming, because a woman would be more willing to apply to that, whether if it's more the opposite, whether it's more like of a abrasive nature. Not that I'm saying men are abrasive, by the way, I'm saying that. But it's just the tune. Even just there's a small little nuances that I honestly think, whether you're a man or a woman, everyone should read, because it's fascinating, which I didn't know. I didn't know any of it.
We're adding that to our Goodreads account.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. should. Please
That's
do.
like so fun. We love learning new books. But that brings us, Laura, to our final segment, which is something that differentiates all elevators from everyone else in the world. It's your final test to become an official elevator in Elevation Nation.
Let's do this.
So, Laura,
Okay.
we learned a lot about lifting the mood. We learned a lot about you and your story. But now we want to know, what is your mental motto? Or plural mottos, because I heard you might have two.
I have two. So this is kudos to this company called Little Words Project. I've said this, and I even said it throughout this podcast. I say to myself, you got this a lot. Like whether it's talking to like my boss or being like, Laura, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, I got it. Or whether I'm looking something challenging. It's funny. Like I say it to myself out loud. And like, anytime I'm overwhelmed, I'm like, no, I got this. So that's like one mental motto that even if I say it out loud, it helps me kind of like knock down that fear. And then there was another one, which I read yesterday on Grit, the book, which was by Henry Ford. He said, if you think you can or cannot, you're right. And it's true. So I like that. Resonated with me fully.
I like that. If you think you can or cannot, you are right. Huh.
Yeah. Right? It's true. It's true, guys.
That's why we manifested the partnership deal with Hello Sunshine. We
There
can.
you go.
We will.
Exactly.
But we cannot
can and we
in
will.
yellow.
We can.
That's the cannot.
Fine. I guess if I have to compromise, we can do
Okay.
like pastel-y yellow. I guess.
Deal.
Yeah.
All right. It's in the universe now.
It's in the universe.
Laura, this was amazing. I mean, you're an inspiration
Thank
for
you.
following your dream, for trying to elevate and lift other people up with something so positive such as fitness, and just learning and keeping such an amazing mentality along the way. I know I speak for Parker and all of Elevation Nation that you certainly inspired us today, and I am honored to welcome you as the latest elevator into Elevation Nation. We have a lot in store for you. We have in-person events coming up in New York and DC and all over the US.
Nice.
We have our virtual community now. We launched an apparel line. We're speaking around the country. So we have a lot of cool things.
Well
Thank
done.
you. We'll have to get you some gear.
I can't wait.
Truly, thank
I'll
you
represent.
for joining Elevation Nation and sharing your story.
Thank you so much for having
me.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me. And this was so philosophical, and I loved it.
That's what it's all about.
Talking books and journeys, and I love it.
Amazing. Yeah. And, thank you for getting vulnerable, sharing your story. And like what's fun about the podcast and way we've done and created Elevation Nation is that it's just the start. So we will be rooting you on from the sidelines. You'll see.
Thank you so much.
We like
guys.
to, watch. It's kind of cool, like talking about Millie and Taylor, the girls who we had on our podcast. They went on Shark Tank. Now they're crushing it, and we're actually having them back on the podcast. So
no way.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. So Laura, I mean, one day maybe we'll manifest that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be back. I will be back.
All right, Elevation Nation. Until next week. Peace. Laura, that was